Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, go on.
Well, after an eventful evening
And morning.
and morning, I think the messages haven't stopped coming.
Arsehole Edward, bro. Love you, bro.
A lot of stuff going on. It's a cloudy day in London. Summer's finished. We're in the fourth quarter of the year. Yeah, let's get this reaction on the way because this guy called me in the middle of the night. He said, bro, we have to do a video. You know, these people ain't even understanding that.
You know what it is? You see in things like that, I can't comment and explain everything on the socials via text. So the easiest way to do this is to literally break down exactly everything so that it can be more of a than a what the fuck? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, because text is not gonna explain it. I prefer to talk than to text. And that's just me generally. When people send me a paragraph or 2 paragraphs worth of things, I look at it. Yeah, right. Hello? What did all of that say?
Now, what did you mean?
What did you mean? What's saying? All these texts, all these words. What are you asking me to read? No. What do you want? What's the problem? So word of advice, if you want to start sending me long texts, if it's more than like 4 lines, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't reading it. I'll call you. Or if I don't call you, I'll open it, I'll look, I won't even do the, you do the side swipe and you pull it back. I'll open it completely, look at it. If it's too much, I'm not gonna read it. I'll just leave it. So if,
see more.
I don't care. Good luck to you. I'm not interested because you're asking for too much. You're asking for way too much.
Let's get to the first part of what you wanted to react to because there's bare points where you're like, rah.
But we ain't gonna go into all of them.
Yeah, we'll try to get into as much as possible.
This is not so much about bashing anyone. It's about helping people see sense a bit, especially the men. Very important. 9:05, I think. I feel like an investigator. No, but in English, we were analysing text or analysing.
Should we get sunglasses?
Yeah. I should have put on a suit. My school uniform.
BKCHAT Extra. Gabz TV.
You know, like that. There we go.
Yeah, or one of the things that people talk about is when someone gets taken and they don't leave a child, they say, oh yeah, at least if he had a child before.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
It's still your blood, it's still, you know what I'm saying?
It's quite selfish though. I've always hated that rhetoric a little bit. Oh, if only he had a child to, keep his legacy, and this is like, but that's selfish though, because that child will now not have one less parent. So it's like,
yeah,
but you got a chance though. They got a chance. Now you got a chance to live.
Yeah, the legacy can still live on.
It's a selfish desire.
No, I don't think so. But think about the pain that she's going to feel when she has to live and know that she was about to give birth to a person to come into this world and that person died. She has to live with that pain. And she saw that person. It's different from having an abortion. You're seeing.
Ashley, love you, kid. But here's the problem now. About to give birth to that child, she saw that person. When you're about to give birth, do you see the person? Firstly. Secondly, if we go back to the initial question, the child is unborn. So, by definition of unborn, baby's not here, still in the womb. How did you configure a basic question and change it to that? And you know what's so crazy? You convinced every female there that in actual fact you made sense. And you know what happens, Los, yeah? People think that I do facial expressions because I'm just like funny. But the truth, if I'm being honest with you, yeah, I don't try to be funny. I'm actually confused. So my face gives it away. I don't even know that I'm doing it. Because if someone said something, I think, what? No, that doesn't make sense. How did you get to that? That's what then happens with me. What you've done is you've taken a question that had its own question, yes or no answer, and you've redefined that question. You've interpreted that question in your own way. And now you've made us all believe that the baby actually came that you could see. How the hell did you get to that conclusion? Because based on the actual question, that's not what they said. So it doesn't make sense.
It's different from having an abortion. You're seeing the physical child and you actually have to see them die.
It's different from having an abortion. You're seeing the physical child. The initial question said the child was unborn. By definition, if a child is unborn, do you see the actual child? Unless it's a scan. You can't see it physically. Now, if you want to, yeah, you could turn around and you could say what you're saying makes sense based on your interpretation. But the actual question has given you the words, and if words don't have meaning no more, we're lost. Unborn means the child is not here. How did you get to that conclusion? This is my point. Now, if we're looking at the fact that the child is unborn, technically the child ain't here yet. Am I right or am I wrong? You decide.
When she's given birth,
She was given.
Abigail was even confused. And in her confusion, she wanted to stay with the fact that Ashley knew what she was talking about because Ashley said it so confidently. Ladies and gentlemen, especially to the guys, when you speak so confidently, people believe what you're saying. You've convinced Abigail that what you interpreted was the actual question. Now she's even confused.
So it's a
Yeah, so she
difficult
was-
pregnancy. I guess that through the birth, it's either like there was complications.
Yeah,
It's either
yeah.
the doctors
So she
put
can
onus on
literally
saving
see
the
the
mum
child.
and have a stillborn, or saving the baby and
Save
the
the
mum
mum.
loses
Save
the
the mum.
child or passes
Is
away.
it bad to say?
Hold on.
She was gonna
I have a question.
So, first and foremost, from the beginning of the actual conversation, we haven't listened to the question. No one said stillborn, which is what Tossin decided to say. No one said the baby's here. The question was very simple. You have a choice to make. The child is unborn. It's either you're going to save the mum or you're going to save the child. What are you picking? What then later happened in the question was the doctor saved both of them anyway. You wasn't given a chance to say maybe, by the way. It was mum or child. Which one are you picking? If you wanted to add your own scenario to a question, which is what people tend to do, all you had to do was say, what if it was this situation? What would you do then? And the reason why you say what if then is because if we all listen to a question and you've basically interpreted the question in your own way, but we've listened to that question, we're trying to answer that question and you're trying to apply your interpretation to the question. Your interpretation does not explain that question. Now, this is where men tend to get manipulated by women all the goddamn time. Why? Because you're not paying attention to the detail. Now, the detail was in it. Unborn. Unborn can mean a number of things. Why did you then go to be specific with the word unborn? Unborn means what, Los? The child is not here. Why did we recreate what unborn means when it has a meaning? If words no longer have meaning anymore, what's the point of communication? Okay, we're moving on. We got the next one. We got 5 of them.
5 for them all.
Hey, love you, Ash.
Did he get heated on set?
Did they get heated? Yeah, of course. And that's the part where I also say to people, like, when I'm explaining things, I'm not a finished product. Really and truly, I shouldn't have got heated with Ashley in that situation there. But I think I was so frustrated with the fact that you are trying to convince all of us and me that your interpretation of what's been said is right. Where I'm just like, what are you talking about? They didn't say that. Where are all these details coming from? For example, if I say to you, Los, I would save the mum and not the child. And I created another scenario, like if all 3 of us was in the car and it went into the river, who are you saving? And I say I saved the child. You can then turn around and say what? But you said before that you saved the mum. But guess what? It's two different scenarios. I can see my child. Therefore, the answer is going to change. I can't see the child. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, the child is not. So it's not going to be the same. But you know what happens to all of us as men? We're so dumb. Oh my gosh. Is we end up answering questions and forgetting the first question, which then puts us in a position where the woman has bamboozled your brain. And now you don't have a leg to stand on, and you don't even know what the argument was. You don't even know what you're discussing. It's all going mad. Because you haven't focused on, in actual fact, the actual question itself. And you've convinced me that the second interpretation is basically equivalent to the same. But when you change words and details to a question, the answer also
Changes. I don't know how you do it.
Say no more. What's the next part? It was going with. I feel like a pastor right now. I'm like we're doing the Bible or something.
I would have looked at my baby father and been like, listen, make the right choice. It wouldn't have been a conversation. He
What
wouldn't know
what is the right choice?
I think. What's the right choice? Choose the
I know
baby or
I
say
said
no.
earlier that, oh, biblically, that rah, 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 but like, if we're speaking about my son, my Zion, choose him.
I think to go off.
But you're saying that based on the fact that your child is older.
No,
And you've experienced
no,
life
no,
with your child.
no.
You ain't.
From the moment they put him on my
He ain't on
shoulder.
your arm. He's still in you.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. Let me continue. So if we're going back to the first question, the initial question, if you say save Zion, which is what Tossin has said, she's saying that from the fact that she's actually seen the child and she has the child. As you can see, Los, in the video, she describes holding the child. Therefore, it's a different scenario. The question said unborn, which means you haven't seen the child. So ask me why I asked about abortions. I asked about abortion simply because it's a termination. And if you have terminated a child before, yeah, I'm finding it hard to believe that you would happily kill yourself because of your child that is unborn. The reason why they didn't want to answer that question was not because I was being too personal, because if we're being honest, everybody was being personal in the show. And Andy required us to be personal and be open. The reason why you didn't want to answer that is because you knew what was coming, which is you're a hypocrite. Because if you have terminated a child before, I'm struggling to see how you're quickly to kill yourself. You've described a situation with a child that has come. That means the child is born. You wouldn't have known that feeling when the child was born if the child wasn't born. So when the child is not in your arms and it's still in your womb, if you terminate, you haven't felt the feeling of the actual child itself. You can only feel it in your womb, bro. Now, I'm not saying that's not still a deeper connection. But what I'm saying is, if you have terminated before, why are you talking like it would be a major problem to do it again? Now, if you turn around and you told me, well, I made the promise to God that I would never do that again, and I was experienced whatever else, then I'll turn around and say, you know what? Fair enough. But the way you said it like you've never done something like that before. Now, I'm going to ask you, Los, in your personal opinion, based on the cast, and I'll ask the rest of you, do you think that any of these women have been aborted before? Hello, mother. Now, would I ask about an abortion if the scenario was different? No. But the scenario was a child was unborn. Now, I gave you a scenario earlier. 3 of us are in the car. Who am I saving? Well, I'm not saving the mum first, am I? This is our child. This is our responsibility. I'm saving the child, then I'll come back for you. But then maybe we both die. But the child is going to be first. If you ask me in a scenario where I have not seen the child is not here. then I think I'm going towards the mum and I'll save you. And I'm saying I don't want to be a hypocrite simply because I've experienced it before. I don't say that it's right, but it would be mad for me to come on camera now, no, Los, and be like, never, no, Chad. Like to say I haven't encouraged or been involved with something like that before.
It feels like your gripe is because it was very performative.
Of course it was performative. I don't genuinely believe you lot are talking the way you would actually act in that moment because you, man, seem you're so quick to die. Yo, these decisions are not simple. And for the fact that you would agree, save the child, and I don't, you probably would divorce me, is insane to me because I believe you've terminated the child before. So now what? And that's why I asked the question. We'll carry on.
Me, a baby that I've told for, you should now kill the baby and I'll be
But
living.
hold on,
Save
you
the
ain't
baby,
given
Jerry.
birth yet. You ain't given birth yet. It's you or the baby.
No. You know what it is, yeah? Timing is everything in this life. You can't skip that.
The mum is gone. Now the baby only has a father. Do we know the
None of you have had a termination.
The complications that come with not having a mum?
But then it's better than having one parent than no parent. That's
Well,
like,
it's better to have two.
What Cookie was saying was true though. It's better for you to have two than having like a situation where you save the child and then you have to raise them by yourself. I don't think people are practical about that.
What Cookie's saying, it sounds great. It sounds great if you have that kind of feeling towards termination and abortion. Do you get what I'm saying? It makes sense. But if you was a person, let's just say, who believed that that termination is for religious reasons and maybe cultural reasons, then of course you're going to sacrifice yourself for the child. But I'd like to think that someone like her has never done that before, and that's why you speak like that. But what you've shown me, basically, is that not maybe you have terminated, but you can accept that you would terminate a child, therefore, save me and we'll do it again. You're not being a hypocrite. I don't genuinely believe the rest of them that's talking like that actually believe what they're saying. And when you're in front of Gabz, it's hard to give me bullshit. I can see your bullshit. That way.
no, but okay, but you know there's a lot of people that have no.
Ladies, can I just ask quickly? Has anyone here terminated a baby?
Why do you keep asking that?
Because if you have done that, then you can't turn around and say what you're saying. It don't make sense.
That's too personal, bro. I haven't even had
It's a personal goddamn
That's like me
topic.
asking you.
It's a personal question, but it's a personal topic. If you're on camera, or we're putting ourselves in the public eye to basically talk about things which are going to be personal issues or personal things as well as be informative, why are you telling me it's too personal? I hope that in all of the new episodes to come and the ones before, that none of you have been personal. Considering that it's too personal. I've had experiences where I've experienced terminating a child. So when you're asking me a question about a child and a woman, if it's my wife, and I've done it before, I ain't sitting there saying, oh, I'm traumatized, I'm this, I'm that. If you've terminated a baby before, don't act like you wouldn't do it.
Why would you say that? I mean, that's just something that you don't say to women. Like, yes, you can say it on a normal day, but we're in a room full of women with a lot of energies. That's just something that you don't say. Whether a woman chooses to have an abortion or not, it's none of your business, respectfully.
If you've had an abortion before, then terminating a child is not something that you haven't done before. If you haven't done it before, I can understand why you sacrifice yourself. So, for those of you that have done it before, you better sit back down, what you mean? Sit back down, what you mean?
We're talking about a baby.
Jade again. What are you talking about? What did you mean by that? That's not something you ask someone. So talking about your mum and talking about your dad and talking about your personal life, is that also something that we shouldn't talk about? Who's to say what we should talk about and what we shouldn't talk about? We're supposed to be YouTubers, influencers. We're supposed to be on a platform basically talking about real life personal things. Lois went on camera and spoke about her divorce and her cheating. She's sharing a part of her life with you to give you her experiences. Isn't that what we're here to do? Or maybe we're here to give off the impression that we're something that we're not. In which case, we must put on the front and try not to be as personal.
What's your thoughts on when she said there's a room full of women and like why would you ask that and the energies are high?
A room full of women, why would I ask that? Well, I can't ask a room full of men about abortion because they have one part of it, but you have the other. So what I did in actual fact is I asked the guys first, if you check earlier, and the guys went quiet, and I know why I asked the guys, which I'll get into later on. And then after, I asked the girls because you were talking about how quick you are to die. So in my head, I was thinking to myself, if you've potentially terminated an unborn child before, this is not unfamiliar to you. So me making a decision as a man to pick your life over the child's life that's unborn should not put you in a position where you would divorce me because you understand it. Why do you understand it? Because you've terminated yourself before. Now, if I've made a decision and you divorce me knowing that you've terminated before, Loso, is that fair? Love you, Jade. Once again, Ashley's come back. You're looking at the child. You're in the birth room. Which scenario are you talking about? Which part of the question said that we was looking at the child? Tell me. Los, tell me. Once again, trying to convince me that what you're saying is valid to a question that makes no sense. You have not answered the question. You've added details. In which case, now that you've added details, I'm struggling to now answer to that because it's a totally different scenario. Seeing a child means that the child is born, unless you're talking about a scan. An unborn child you can't see because it's not here, it's not born. Communication 101. The first part of communication is listening. In order for you to answer effectively, you must listen to the question. To all my young people, I learned this from a very wise man. And he's going to be a bit gassed up when I say this. RTFQ. Whenever you go to an exam, and whatever you're doing in your life, RTFQ. Read the fucking question.
So we ain't got a lot of time.
Go on.
And I think one thing that never actually got answered was was the divorce even like was the woman in the right for wanting the divorce?
Well, technically, as far as she's concerned, she is in the right because you terminated that. You picked her over the child, and she wanted you to pick the child over her. That's how she felt about it. I mean, in that scenario, I can understand. If you wanted to add some more details to that scenario, it could be, well, like I said, you're then a hypocrite because maybe I know that you've aborted from before, but the person didn't ask that question. They just said yes or no. So based on the fact that you've said the child and not the mum, well, then she's in her right mind to say what she's saying, if that's what the question is.
What's your thoughts on the fact that she wanted to have a divorce?
I said it. I get it. I get it. And as a man, sometimes you're put in situations where you have to make tough decisions, and not everybody likes the decisions you make. And sometimes you have to understand that logic and sense have to align in the best way so that you can be at peace with the decision that you make. If someone turned around and said for an unborn child to me, your life or the unborn child, I'm picking the unborn child based on my personal experiences, based on my understanding, based on the fact that the child is not here, and I can be at peace with that decision. If you ask me to save you 3 people in the car, I don't think I'll be at peace with saving you over the child with the car's flooding. In which case, I'll pick the child. But remember, that's 2 different scenarios. 2 different settings, 2 different views, which requires another answer. So it's not so much about bashing someone for saying you divorce. It's more about understanding the fact that, yeah, this is what it is. But I'll hope to God that if you did divorce me, you better not have had an abortion yourself. Because if you have terminated before and I've chosen to terminate to save your life, I'm going to have to question why you can't look at me anymore. Because really, if you can't look at me, you should be able to look at your...
Birth.
The baby is not born yet. The doctor's told you the choice.
Her legs are wide open and the baby is coming out. They're telling you, you're seeing the life is...
Los, I had to stop it. Sorry. My legs are wide open and the baby is coming out. Is that the same? Did the in the initial question, did they give those details? I'm asking those. Did they give those details in the initial question? Where did those details come from? All you had to do, actually, is say, what if the baby's coming out and whatever else? In which case, it's a completely different answer. But what you've done is you've tried to be wrong and strong. And as I spoke to her last night, you remember, she wanted to die on her sword because as far as she's concerned, she didn't like the fact that she was wrong. But she won't say she was wrong because this is what you call woman. Bro, we're not going based on your interpretation of what was actually said. We're going based on what was said. You want to change the scenario? Change the scenario. But make it clear you're changing the scenario. Because all we're going to do is talk about the last one. But as far as I'm concerned, the last one doesn't relate to what you're talking about now. Because the details that you're putting in the actual question, the original question, doesn't make sense. She didn't give those details. Why are you putting those details in? Love you, Ash. What was the question?
She was giving birth.
What was the question?
She was giving birth.
What was the question?
She
No,
was
what was the
giving
question?
birth.
What was the question? What was the question?
She was giving birth. She was giving birth. I heard you. What was the question?
She was giving birth.
She was giving birth. What was? Me and her was going back and forth when this was heated, and I got a bit heated based on the fact that I was frustrated because I'm like, again, like I said, that was not the question. All the details you've added to the question doesn't make sense. If you're changing the scenario, change the scenario. But what I want to get to really is the way women can really
It was a situation
manipulate
where a woman
man.
had a complicated pregnancy.
to focus on this.
During birth, it got really dangerous, and the doctor presented her husband with one of the toughest decisions of his life. He was asked to choose whether to save his wife or his unborn child. He chose to save
Unborn child first.
He chose to save the unborn.
Look at Ashley's face in that clip where she looked left and right. She knew she fucked up. But guess what? She couldn't back down at this stage because she's already made it clear that's what she's saying.
That's how I feel.
And when a woman feels what she feels, no matter what you say, it's not going to change nothing. People like Ashley is no different from my mum and many other women. In order for you to really guide those kind of women, you need to break down what they think they know to rebuild them again. Because all they do is go based on their own personal experiences. Wrong and strong. And all that's going to happen is, because you want to help her so bad, you're going to get emotionally frustrated. In which case you start shouting and acting out of order. Not because you dislike her, but because you actually wanted to hear you. Because you're not making sense. But she's not hearing you. Why? Because she's trying to be wrong and strong. If the doctor has saved both of them anyway, the decision to terminate the child was not when the child was born. It was when the child was unborn. Which means that the doctor came in and said to the person, I'm about to deliver your baby, but there's complications. I can either save the mother or I can save the child. Which one are you picking? That means the child is not here yet, Loso. Hence why the question was unborn.
They're both right. They're both right.
If a child is unborn, they're both right.
I didn't get that part.
How did you get you both right?
I was so baffled when I saw that, you know. When they said both right, I was like, the spell worked.
Just carry on, watch it.
The spell worked, you know.
Woman.
She
See,
repeated it so many times
that is convinced you. She convinced this is woman. You know what? Upon a time, something like that would have had me furious. Now I find that manipulation kind of sexy. Because I'm a bit toxic myself. I love it. Because I can see it clearly now. You are really, really good at what you do. You actually twanged the whole set.
Even me, I'm like, whoa. Gabz.
She twanged the whole set.
I was like, Gabz, like, are you sure you're like?
She twanged the whole set so good that she even put Tossin in a position where she even said something stupid.
My own personal experiences, I can acknowledge that maybe I was wrong for that. But
He's trying to save himself. He's trying to save himself.
I don't like my own.
Ashley straight away. He's trying to save himself. Why do you think Ashley's doing that, guys? She knew she was wrong. And she needs the backing of others to come at me to hide the fact that she was wrong all that time. But she can't admit she's wrong because she has to be wrong and strong. She wants to die on the sword. He's trying to save himself. Loso, why would Gabz be trying to save himself when, before we even got to that part, Gabz has openly admitted to being involved in abortion? If I've opened myself to you earlier in the conversation about me personally, why am I saving myself later on? I heard her, but I ignored her because what you wanted was a reaction from me that I'm not going to give you. Because it's not about Ashley and Gabz. It's about BKCHAT. But the truth is, when you said that, you wanted to trigger me. He's trying to save himself. Why are you trying to draw me out? I don't need to save myself. I've told you already. I have. Before even this part. Earlier on. So why am I saving myself, Ashley? We're gonna. There's obviously a lot more that we can go on, but we need to wrap it up. Bottom line is when you're having a conversation with a woman, guys, please clear your mind and focus on the question. Words have meaning. If the words don't have meaning no more, and all we do is interpret words, we no longer have clear communication. The first key to communication is listening. Listen. RTFQ, read the fucking question. LTFQ, listen to the fucking question. Very simple. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to get wrapped up in arguments that really and truly you shouldn't be having with someone who's convinced themselves completely that they're right, even when they know they're wrong. No, you know what? I got to do this last bit. Sorry, Los. Give it to me, dog. Give it to me. I got to find it. Tossin decided to say, why does unborn child have to mean the child is not born or not here?
So why do you think unborn means like
Because
not
the child is
living?
not
Like I
born
don't
yet, bro.
understand.
Like,
Like,
unborn is
you're seeing it as
unborn, man.
synonymous.
What the hell are you
Unborn
talking
means
about?
not living.
Born is born, unborn is unborn. I didn't pass English in school, but unborn means unborn, born means born.
Ashley said beside her, thank you. Against me. What women tend to do, they get lost in their own stupidity.
Lost in them lies.
And you know what it is? It's because all they're doing is speaking from an emotional place. And you need to be able to see that. It doesn't make Tossin stupid. Tossin is really smart. What's so mad is Tossin makes them believe that in actual fact they can come to Tossin. She's there for you. When the going gets tough, Tossin is gone. But how can you say, why does unborn child have to be the child is not born or not here? Danny, what are we talking about here? Does that make sense?
Scary. So can we end it now?
Yeah, Toss's one was the last one. Hey, love you, Toss.
I'm out.